Hello and welcome everyone to today's live trading London to New York crossover with the Harmonic Scanner, and it is Wednesday 10th of June. There's a lot of USD news this afternoon, a lot, so we'll have to avoid that. And let's just start sharing screen. So this is which group am I in? This is, can't see it. This one. This is the group if you want anyone to join, for members only if you're interested in the Harmonic Scanner and pitchforks. So I am able to talk about the trade on the Harmonic Scanner. It's very versatile. You can take the actual trade that the Harmonic Scanner gives you. You can also put a 25 to life on it. We can always do that. If you want, just ask. And then, of course, I do pitchforks off the scanner. And then once you're a member, as you know, you come into here. I have looked at the scanner this morning, and I know Brian's very kindly been loading up new scans. I just drew one or two this morning. And then I did have an alert go off on GA, that's GBPAUD. It's just past the hour, so I don't know if I just missed it. You might want to pull that up. Come to Strategies Academy is for the little learning units. And then we use the Vibrata for BYOB and Harmonics, which is free with the Platinum package. And the hourly one scan, H1, and Traders Way, the main feed. That's the one that I look at. So, oh, I see Euro G. A Euro G. I'm not going to draw them today, but a Euro JPY's just come up. Euro USD was a shark, and I have drawn that one. We can have a look at that. Just put new scan. Euro USD, I've already drawn. I think CAD, I haven't done that one either.
You're on the 15-minute time frame there, Sarah.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I think that looks quite a big one though, doesn't it? Measure from C to D. 84.8, so it is just big enough, that one on the, I'll bet right down M15 though. M15, let me check the others. Euro USD, it was the hourly. I'm sure I drew the hourly. So that's a shark, and you want to make sure it's come down. That's -9. You need it to come down to the second entry point, or halfway 50% to TP1. I have actually drawn it, so I need to just put a note by that it might not be solidified yet. Okay, and then I think that was about it. NZD USD was too small. GA's too small. NZD JPY 143. I might have that one because it's quite far back. I don't know. NZD JPY from the 9th of June. I might check that in a minute. Okay.
I think I put that on the in the group of quite early this morning, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. Right, great. I'll go and look. So GA is where the alert's just gone off, and it's fallen back down. This is a fast pair. There's the D point now at the 10th of June. This is on the 1 minute. And so we're looking for a buy only if you follow the rules of under 60 pips per leg. And that's 30 per leg, so you do want to follow that. So what have we got here? We've got the quarter theory and the pitchfork crossing. So we'd like our entry to be on the, let's see if I can, magnify that for you. I'll put that back, that side of it. So, so you want it to be above quarter theory, above the 1.82500, and what we're going to be looking for is this. So let the trade come to you. You want to break by 10 pips, because if you get in, the bankers know if you just get in. I know some of them do shoot straight up like that, but generally speaking, the bankers know that you're going to rush in and think you're going to get left behind. So no retest, no entry. You want to let the trade come fully back to the area where you want to take the trade. And we want the 62, which is pointing, curling down at the moment. We want that to be pointing up and be coming up to cross the blue 15-minute one. So at the moment, and as I said, GA is a very fast pair, and you can see it's wicked down here. So it might even drop back right back down to the extensions again as well. Although it is forming higher lows. See those higher lows? So we could put a trend line on, see what we've got. And you want at least 3 touches. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 5 touches there. And it's a very fast pair, which might account for it slipping through, wicking through the other side. So we've got our alert on. Nothing we can do on that at the moment. I wouldn't get in. It's above the 62. The 62 is saying buy, although it's curling back round, so that's a buy. But at the moment, both the pitchfork and quarter theory is saying sell, because price is right underneath. Sorry about that glitching here. That's better. And if it comes back down here, why wouldn't we get in down here? Because if it's below the 62, we wouldn't want to enter below that. If we can put a fib on or something, it still won't help us, because ideally I like to be back at the D point. Not always so keen taking trades off the extension, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a trend line down there, just in case it goes right back down, and we can discuss it. Okay. So that's GA. EuroCAD. I have checked Forex Factory. I've only got USD news all afternoon. So I had this marked up here because there's a pitchfork and a quarter theory. The orange, the 62, is saying buy, although it's slipped back through. And there is an upward trend. There are higher lows forming. But it's been very slow. It's been very much like that today, that one. Just change that to my trend line color. And we could put if it's a buy, you see this low point here and this high. I'll try it with a fib, but I'm not sure that point, you're looking for the reversal. I'm not sure whether that's deep enough. It might only be the 50%. So for a buy, you put your 100% down there, use the magnet tool. That's just slipped off a bit. I'll come back and correct it to that high, not on current price. And it's nowhere near anything at the moment. So we might want it to do this, to come back down. What we'd like is it for really to come back down to that 88.6 and then shoot up. So we'll have a look at and see what that does. I'll put a trend line just in case something happens round about here. GA we've done. What's next? GBPUSD, dodgy because of all that red flag news. Where's my Forex factory? All this 2:30, 1:30 UK time, 7 PM UK time, 7:30. I mean, there's just so much of it. I wouldn't want to touch a USD pair, really. So the 62 is saying buy. It's rejected off quarter theory. Those white lines are outer extensions. So it's not doing anything anyway that I want to be looking at. It's can't make its mind up, needs to make its mind up what it wants to do. So that's GU anyway. And as I say, I'm not keen on USD pairs today. CAD JPY, because Canadian dollar is a New York session pair. CAD JPY. So that pale blue line is my alert. I had that up there, but it's not. It's in the middle of nowhere. So there's nothing on that. But on CAD JPY. GBP CAD. Fast moving pair, like all the GBP ones are. So at the moment it's playing into this scan from the 8th of June. Oh, that's the 15-minute chart. Let's come to the 1 minute. Get rid of that. It didn't go down there, which is where I had it marked. So what have we got here? We've got the orange 62 EMA, the 1 minute trend saying buy. It's obviously come up above quarter theory. The gap's a bit too large, I think, for the stop loss to cover us. 17.4. So it's still going up. If you did want to look at that, you'd have to use a bigger stop loss. So I'll just mark it up for us. We're looking for this 10 pip break and retest, and then up to that next level. Put your long position on the pitchfork. You'll need to cover. That's too big for me. I don't like stop losses up at nearly 20 pips because you've got to get a very precise entry as well, but that's up to you. And 20, your level for take profit is at 30 pips at the quarter theory at 1.71500 in this zone up to 1.71555 or thereabouts, which is 35 pips or so, which is the pitchfork. Okay, so that's the levels. So I'll just write that down. Now it's dropping down there. What time are we at? Let's look at the 15-minute candle. I was discussing that with someone this morning. When do we look at candle closes? So as there's a bigger stop loss, a bit kind of not sure what we're doing. I quite like to look at the candle closes in that instance. So on the 15-minute, we can see the whole lot are really dojis, very big wick side to side, not a lot of wax on the candles. There's not any volume in the sale or the buy. Those are 50-50 candles, and the candles tell you the story. So the last 15-minute candle was a doji, that little green cell candle. It's like a spinning top. And then now it's on the 15-minute, it's below the pitchfork. So on the 15-minute, it could be that GBP CAD just wants to play between this zone. So those sort of things tell me that, you know, I'm not that interested in it as a trade. But the big thing that puts me off, only take trades you know you can win, and only take trades that are good setups. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. It's to just be reflected in your account going down. And here you can see it's going down anyway. So nothing that excites me on GBP CAD. I'm going to put no next to that. I'm not going to write it up. And let's look at other. Finish looking at the GBP pairs. There's GN, a crazy pair, GBPNZD. GA, the alert's going off. That might be at the bottom. Might have dropped right back down. Yeah, it's right back down to the outer extensions. So at this point, we don't want to trade this because it's so far beneath the 62. We need that. We need price to want to come back up and get above the 62. So there's no trade here unless it's going to drop down into that scan I've got below, which is a different matter entirely. Or like we were discussing yesterday, you could put a second pitchfork on this pointing down, XA1, but there's no point. I can see I've got scans below there. So nothing for us on that. I'll leave that alert there in case it starts to come back up. Let's go back to GN. So GN, we've got the orange 62 saying buy, and it looks like it's just about to cross. It hasn't quite crossed, so don't get fooled, because sometimes these things can just curl back round. So if I don't know if there's an example of it back here, where it's that's crossed. Maybe not. Don't want to go too far back. It's crossed everywhere else so far. Go on the 15-minute. Oh, well, hopefully it'll cross then, because it's crossed everywhere else, but it is a fast pair. Here's one. So you could think how many pips is that from above the 62? 20 pips. So I may well have a pitchfork that I've got switched off back there, and quarter theory has decided to switch itself off. Oh, but there's a quarter theory, 2.05 thousand. So you've got quarter theory sat along here as well, which is in line with all those rejections. So stall, 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 take off for 20 pips. You're thinking it may carry on up and you can stay on up in the trade, but the 62 does not actually cross and it curls back down for the sell, and it gives you that's a lot of pips, 335 pips. Over what period? Over, how long did that take? 1 day, 17 hours. Oh, very nice. So let's go back and see if it is actually going to cross. And I've got two, let me just see which is the most recent one. Hang on, I can't remember why I had two on. This one, so I'll just switch off that green one. Don't want any more complications on the chart than you need. So off the D point, it completed the scan, stalled out along the extensions, dropped right down, dropped even further, and it's now coming back into this scan from the 2nd of June. And let's see where we are with it. So that 62 is crossing, well, it's just leveled off there. The pitchfork, I don't know what kind of stop loss we'd have on here. Say we got in above the 62, that's too big a stop loss for me, because you'd want to enter on a buy candle just as the 62 is crossing. Otherwise you're going to be in drawdown as it drops the quarter theory, and if it breaks the 1 minute trend line, it could come back down to the pitchfork, and you want to be able to cover those two. So it's not a trend that I like. It's not a trade that I like from that point of view. And it's just breaking that now with a break and a retest. So you could either put your trend line like that. I'll leave it like that, I like that. And settings, I'll just change it to green because that's how I do my trend lines. And gap between pitchfork is 50, so not quite big enough to take a quarter theory trade. You can see the 62s curling back round now. So I'll put an alert on the quarter theory, and let's see if it wants to come back up. I'll just do it like that. So that's, oh, and it's, oops, I got it open twice. Strange, didn't think so. Oh, and look at that. It's just, but it's a very fast pair. It's just decided to take off. But that was still too big a stop loss for me because GN is very, very volatile. So that is now shooting up. Anyway, you might want to do something with that, but for me, it's too far away from the pitchfork now, and quarter theory and the 62. It's not got enough ping in it. Use a technical phrase. So that's GN, GA, GC, GN, GU we've looked at, GBP, JPY, although that's London and Asian, GJ, and I only take this pair if it's a very good setup, because it is volatile, but you can get big pips on it. But that's done a nice move in London, 11:30 your time. That's up about 50 pips. Hiya.
Are you right?
You're right.
That Euro AUD, it stopped me out earlier. I'll put my stop profit. It's gone down to the next pitchfork, the next quarter theory, and it's quite a big scan. It's like 300 odd pips.
Oh right, great.
It's sort of following a it's following the trend line.
Thank you. EA. Oh, I must have passed it because I was looking at. I haven't been. Can't see it. There it is. That's nice, isn't it? So we've got a rejection of quarter theory and a pitchfork there. It's under the 62. It's still in a very strong downward momentum, the gap between that and the 15-minute. So the only thing I'd say is it might come back up like it has here to test the 62 before coming down further, because it is a fast pair. So what we could do is put our position on there. And then if it carries on dropping, it's going to be down. It's going to be down further than, it's going to come down to this level. So it could drop another 35 pips.
How many pips is that rejection there, Sarah?
That rejection is 17, and it would be up to 20 to the 62, which is what it looks like it wants to do at the moment. If we come to the 15-minute, you can see that it's curling down nicely. Take that one off. And this pink one was actually, I could take that off actually, hide that, because that was the second pitchfork that I put on some time ago. So this, sorry, machine's a bit slow with Zoom. This is the scan we've got from the 4th of June. So each leg is 40 pips. Is that the one you're using then, Connor? 160 pips scan. Have you got a bigger one? You must have a bigger one. So it completed the scan very successfully. There's your long run right back up to the extensions, and now it's coming back down again the other way. Just come back onto the 1 minute. So it's rejected off the 62. Oh, it's catching up. So may as well watch this for a bit. Oh, half-hour candle. Let's have a look at that as it's the half hour. Just put that on magnifier. So a strong engulfing sell candle on the half-hour close, but a wick at the bottom where it's rejected off the pitchfork and quarter theory. The new candle on the half-hour is opening as a buy candle, although it's very wicky. But it is under the 62 still. But on the half hour, the longer time frame, you can see it is in this wedge here. So it's got to decide when it wants to come back down into this area here, this leg of the pitchfork.
Sarah, what's the significance of the half-hour candle? That's not something I've heard of.
Well, I just look at the hourly, like we're coming up to, we just passed the half hour. So the hourly and the half hour, it just gives you that slightly longer time frame to see
okay, just to look at the trend or whatever.
Yeah, just what the confluence is, doesn't it? You know, so the half hour has said over the longer period of time that it's the volume orders on the sell have weakened. Because that was the lowest it pushed down to. It couldn't break down further. So although it was an engulfing candle, its final close, the pattern that is set now forever, is that bottom of the green candle there. And then it gives me the open of the new candle, which is not a green candle, which is what I would want, you know, that the sell is carrying on down.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, so you're looking at the medium-term trend. Yeah. Yeah,
so if you look at this previous green one here with a wick, then there was a doji blue buy candle, then another buy candle, but with a long wick, and then another buy, and then an engulfing sell, because it is a fast pair as well. But you see, even there with the engulfing sell and not very long wick on the half hour, it still carried on with a bit of a buy through London, and then stalled out. That often happens towards the end. So I'm just going to come down to the 5 minute. So on the 5 minute, it's just ranging between, quarter theory's gone, there's quarter theory. It's on the 5 minute, it's below the 62, which is crossed below the 15 minutes, saying that's a sell signal, but it's rejecting the pitchfork and the quarter theory here. So it just looks to me like it's going to range in here. That's the story that I'm reading, because it wasn't so strong to punch through on the 30 minute.
Sarah, there's a newer EA scan with the D point at about 2 in the morning your time on the 9th.
Is that on the
hourly?
EA there? Thank you. So that is a buy scan.
Yeah, that's the one I've got drawn up.
Oh, now you tell us.
I must have been on mute. I've said it a couple of times.
You must have been on mute. 200. But yes, because I said which one are you using, and I didn't hear back.
Yeah, it's this one. Sorry, it's touched the median. It's touched the median 3 times.
Right.
We could start selling on it, but over to get in it because we sold on this one yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, did very well, didn't we? It was nice that. So X, make sure your time zone bottom right is your local time zone. So EA is a shark, but that's fine. It's nearly completed the pattern. X 3rd of June at 03. If you're writing these numbers down, you're in the UK. You want to take an hour off because I'm Paris. 3rd of June, 1300. B 4th of June, 1300. C 4th of June, 2100. And D 9th of June at 0200. Let's get rid of those alerts down there. Come back to the hourly. I will change the color on the old scan and fade it out. I'll take these off. Usually I put that in green. Let's fade it out a bit more. Right. So we've got come back onto the same time frame that you found the scan on, and we want 3rd of June at 0300, so it's a bit further back. There, be that one. Come and get your scan shape over here. Click on that. Make sure your magnet is on because you need it at the bottom of the wick. So 3rd of June at 03 to the high point, 3rd of June at 1300. That makes the powerful scan where it's picking up the previous highs and low reversal points on another scan where they cross over. So that's really good. 4th of June at 1300. That's that one. So it's picking up the old scan. 4th of June at 21. Is that there? And 9th of June there. So that's good. I'll put it in pink. And come up here to the pitchfork, X to C to D, and I like my new ones in white. So that's good, and it probably won't let me 3rd of June. Yes, it will. Come back to the 1 minute. And just make sure we get those points on correctly for the pitchfork. And then you're good to go. It's valid forever then. It doesn't matter about the scanner shape pattern. No, can't get that to magnify it. But I like to put it on. There we are. And when you've finished it, padlock it on, then it won't be slipping off and glitching on you. And there's the X. Sorry, there's a C, I mean. Oh, I can't grab that either. There's too many points there. That's it.
Sí, no, no, pero ella al final sí ella entendió lo que yo le dije. Ella entendió. No, ella entendió lo que yo le dije. No, no, pero me alegra porque vi que creo que hay una diferencia de $6.
The ordering is pizza.
Y hay un 8 y un 2, creo.
Right. Ah, that's interesting. I think I'll just move that while I'm here. I don't know why that C point's over there, but I don't like it over there. That's on that old one, so make sure you pick the lowest one. I don't know why I've got, and anyway, this bigger scan has encompassed this one. So just use a bit of judgment, and if in doubt, delete the scan. There's always plenty of scans. There's no point using a scan that's, in fact, that one's slightly off as well. Strange. I might come back and look at that later and delete it. I probably don't need it now I've got this one. That's it. And down to the X, and then we're good to go. Okay, and then object tree, I just need to lock them on. Just lock the padlock on, and you won't waste your hard work. And go back to the minus sign. You've got plus and minus because I had it on Zoom to put the points on. So you want to go back to the normal drawing size. And there's our new scan, which has moved pretty fast. So it's done from the D point. It's done 280 pips in a day. That's how fast this pair is. And as Connor said, it's hit the median 3 times. So it's fair game for a sell. You can buy or sell it. And let's have a look on the 1 minute where it is. So the gap between the pitchfork leg, is it really that big? 100? That big a scan. Measure C to D, it's 300, or 75. So it is that big. So in that case, you can take quarter theory trades. So at the moment, we've got under the orange saying it's a sell. We've got a strong downward trend, the orange across the blue, back at just coming out of Tokyo, and stall out there along the pitchfork under the 62.25 theory. There was a nice little sell there, 32 pips. Back up to the pitchfork, probably not quite so much there. And if you got in here, so rejection off pitchfork, quarter theory, and under the 62. And that was, it only did 5 pips there, so it was a slower, that's the better move, I think. It's coming along here, under the 62 there. And then you would have had to have given up quite, that's 20 pips. You would have had to have gone back up, let the 62 hold it. So if you'd held it all the way down and not come out, you would have given up some pips. So if you'd covered your pitchfork as well, you would have got your 35, about 35 pips in an hour and a half there. So you could have had the confidence to have stayed in that, except I'm not sure what that would have been too big a stop loss for me on that one. So I probably wouldn't have done that one. Hang on. Yeah, just get rid of that. And then at the moment we've got it playing between the two. So if it comes back up to quarter theory, but you know, if it's above the 62 and it comes up to, sorry, quarter theory and that 15, you could look at it for a sell, but not one that I'm probably interested in. If it's above the 62 as well, I'll probably wait for it to get further down now on that one. How do you feel about that, Connor? Would you take something like that if it comes back up there and rejects off?
Because of how many times it's rejected off, then maybe. It depends what a 62 EMA is at the time.
Yeah, I agree. This is an old pitchfork there, which is quite good. So if it hits off that pitchfork there and that quarter theory, and it is a big scan, and it is a fast pair. So there's potentially a trade there, like that. And I'll just check where that green scan came from, just to refresh my memory. Put the padlock on, then I'm not gonna. So that green scan was XC. Can't see which one it is. Oh, I've got that as a XA. So I drew that as a second pitchfork. So that's one of mine. That one. Just so you know. So that's Euro Ord. And we'll go on to something else. Did we look at, we've done CAD JPY. Ord CAD is so slow, I very rarely trade it because it drives me nuts. It only moves about a 4 out of 10, and I just find I'm watching paint dry. But, you know, it's very good if you've got a very, very fast market like we had in the pandemic, because it moved fast. It did 50 pips or so, and normally you'd expect it to do about 20. And if you're fairly new, particularly if you're going live on your account, fairly new, then it's a great one for that. So the orange, it's still hugging along the orange, respecting that. It's in a buy mode. It crossed over halfway through Tokyo. It has cleared the pitchfork as well, and it's coming up to quarter theory to the extensions. And that's the chart it's in. And that the scan, and that's from 27th of May. Perfect rejection off pitchfork and quarter theory. That's the 15-minute. We'll come down to the 1 minute. Just analyze what it's doing a bit, so you can see how to read a chart. Shall I come to the 5 minutes? Be a bit quicker. Load up. Quarter theory is not turning on now. It does annoy me when it does that. So looking purely at the pitchforks up through the D point, perfect rejections off there, up to that pitchfork, perfect rejections off there. I wonder if there's a quarter theory there. Yeah, 0.92 thousand. Stall rejections. There's a quarter theory in play there. Off the pitchfork, get it above the 62, and you've got a beautiful run up there. Draw your 1 minute trend up, stays above the 62 all the way up. So very nice run up there. And then when you see it break the 62, you know, depending on how far you're, you know, if you have stayed in it even above the extensions, that'd be your signal to get out of a trade. And again, you can see it comes down. Sometimes it'll slip through because it's testing the 15-minute one. Test, slip through there to the pitchfork, but has another go at going up, but can't break through quarter theory. So comes down here, having another go at quarter theory at the moment. Well, that's on the 5 minute, and the orange line has crossed above. So, but you've got lower highs forming there, although that's a higher one now. Just put the pivots on to show you. So it's in a sort of downward trend, but you've got a channel forming here. Let's look on the 1 minute. So wait for it to come up past 0.94000, that quarter theory, and up to there, and see if it's going to curl back round for the sell. So that's what I'd be looking for it to do. Okay, so nothing at the moment. You might, you know, put an alert up there. I'm not going to do that on this one. So OrdCAD, and can do a couple of more. Does anyone want to look at anything in particular? Euro.
Sarah, for EU or AUD, what was the entry for that? Is that a trigger trade, or you're just looking at it?
I only do manual. I only do market execution, Brian. No, I'm just looking at it back on EA, waiting for it to come up to these outer extensions where that where that quarter theory is at the moment, although it is in a downward trend. So the orange is still well below, but I thought that it wants to come up here. If we put a fib on, let's see what if that tells us anything. So if we put the fib on from that high to that low.
I mean, it just shot up on the 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm on the 1 minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it wants to come back up to this quarter theory and this 15-minute EMA, and that would also give you the 61.8 or the 78.6 thereabouts. That's what the fib's saying, I think, if I've done the fib right, or I could put the fib down there on that quarter theory. So yeah, maybe it'll only come up to that 61.8. I mean, it is a very fast pair. But you can see it did wicket, it did come to it, it does touch it up there because it is a fast pair. So I'd be surprised if it stops in the middle of nowhere. I would think it wants to come up to this quarter theory, the outer green Fibonacci, and the 15-minute EMA. So do something like this.
And then might come back down, or retrace.
And then come back down, yeah. With profit 1, profit 2, and that zone there, profit 3 to the 61.8 in the quarter theory, because that is a downward scan, that green one. So I've got that white one going there. So it should, where's that white one? That's our one from the 9th of June. So actually, sorry, I've done the wrong thing. I think we should be on the white, the one that Connor and Brown said. Hang on, it's just, Zoom is slow. I just want to fade out that green one and look at it from the point of view of the slow. That's it. You just fade that right out. Changing my mind here, I've done the wrong thing, I think. My brain hadn't caught up with the scans. So we are looking for, on the 15-minute, that's better. This is the 15-minute. So it's come off the D point, it's worked its way up to the median. That means we can look at a sell. Actually, we can look at a sell, but on the 1 minute, where is the orange going to be? Because that's our current trend. So it is a buy scan. I beg your pardon. Sorry, that was my bad. It's not a sell scan, buy scan. But we can take sells on it because it's past the median and it's a big scan as well. So you're right, we've got a strong, Zoom's being slow. It crossed over in Tokyo for the sell. As Connor and you have said, it's now rejected off quarter theory. I'm on the 1 minute. 3 rejections off the pitchfork, stalled out and rejected along quarter theory throughout a lot of London. So it is, and now it's, I don't know, it's kind of playing between the quarter theories at the moment. That is a big scan. So if it comes up to the quarter theory and it gets below the 62, then you could take it for a sell down to this zone here. That's how I would be reading it. So I'll put a short position on there. And that would give you 50 pips to about 60 to 65 in that zone there. God, my Zoom's gone slow. Stop it. I'll just set it up there for a minute though. So if we look, if we put the fib on now from that high where it's just hit the 15-minute down to that one there, previous low, then it needs to come up. So it's back, yeah, just what we originally discussed. So that's how I would be looking at it, that it comes up. If I put this in pink, so you don't get confused with the orange quarter theory. So I'm looking for it to come up and hit the 61.8, which I've just passed below quarter theory, or the 78, or preferably the 88.6, because that's our strong one, and then come back down. And once you've cleared quarter theory, sometimes, you know, it'll go straight down, but maybe 10 pips and back. You have to make your mind up what you think it's going to do, because there's a 10. How many pips is that from the quarter theory there? That's 28 pips. And look at your previous lines of resistance along there at about 28 pips. It broke the low there, broke the low there, and it is in a downward trend. You've got lower highs forming and you've got lower lows forming. So you can also put on your 1 minute trend line and see when it breaks that. And it should shoot up just before the hour. Settings, green, there. And let me see what the hull says. Just what the 15-minute hull is saying. So it's testing the 62, but it's staying above it at the moment, and it just slips through a little bit. Right, the hull's gone to red on the 15-minute and turning red there. So if it turns round now, then for me it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I haven't got a strong ping point. I'd like it to be rejecting off the 61, which is the pink one there, just below the quarter theory, or the 78.86 zone, to give me the strongest chance of success with it. You know, pinging down to this next level down here. So our take profit one would be at the 0, minus 27 on quarter theory, take profit 2, and then minus 61.8 down here. But it doesn't look like it hasn't come up far enough, and it's now coming down. So I'd probably myself wait for it now till it's at this lower level. There isn't really a trade for me there unless it comes back up and tests this area. That's how I read it anyway. It's not enough. It's not got a level to work off. So it looks like it's just fading a bit. But then sometimes in my session, it does become a watch list, doesn't it? It does become a bit of a range, and then it will take off the way it wants to take off. So maybe an hour in, it will start after the hour. In fact, we're after the hour. I need to go because the other people on next. Then it will start to climb up and then come down. But it is a buy scan. It could carry on up past the quarter theory as well. But I'd want to see a strong upward momentum, that it stays that left-hand side, the correct side of the 62, and doesn't break that 1 minute trend line. And if you can move your trend line out. You can adjust it as price moves. It's not cast in stone where it is now. I do alter them. So that's everything. I ought to just quickly check the chat. There's just one in the chat. Sarah likes to trade euro. Ha ha, yeah, no. I do actually like euro GBP. You're right. I don't know why. I think it's because of my bank accounts, because if I lose on one, I make on the other, hopefully. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll keep an eye on those, but do avoid USD on the red flag stuff today. So I'll see you all tomorrow, and have a great afternoon.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
Okay, bye everyone.